The old saying goes that behind every great man there's a great woman, so we can only imagine how great our next speaker is. Leslie is a partner in the Larkin Development Group, which has led the redevelopment of the Larkinville neighborhood in Buffalo since 2002. She is Director of Fun. I want that job, okay? In Larkin Square, overseeing events attracting more than 140,000 people to the neighborhood each year. Our next speaker, everyone, is Leslie Zemsky.
I want to come to these events from now on. I'm so excited. I'm going to speak really quickly, but I just feel so connected in these random, wonderful connections. So Doug Swift, our partner, Young and Right, our tenant, we're so excited where you're moving. The Seneca Street guys, super excited what you're doing on Seneca Street. Roycroft, well, Everett Hubbard was a big part of Larkin. So I love Buffalo because we all come together so quickly. All right, you just missed a slide from back in the day when there were no parking lots and there was lots of density. This is the fire station, the intersection of Seneca and Swan, and this is the start of our branch of Larkinville, which is a nickname that really came about in about 2009 or 10 from those red brick buildings down to Smith Street. So our story is a family, and I came in 2012, but my hat's off to my husband and also to Doug Swift, the early visionaries who bought the Larkin and Exchange building here in 2002, which was once part of the Larkin Soap Company. And that was the warehouse. This is another building that was part of the complex. This came into our company a little bit later, the Larkin U building. It predated the Larkin Company, but what this project allowed us, as First Niagara was rapidly expanding, needed more space, it came with a wonderful piece of property called Larkin Square. So many of you are familiar now with Larkin Square, but this is what it didn't even look this good when we acquired it because it was all boarded up, the filling station. That's our filling station restaurant. That's a building from the 1930s that was a part of the Larkin Soap Company. They had planned to have a whole chain of gas stations. Well, fast forward to 2012. This didn't go quite at the pace of Riverworks, but it's been moving at a pretty dynamic pace here. You see Larkin Square. We also, now you'll see, and I'll talk in a minute about some of our projects that we started doing on Seneca Street, and that has become a real focus. So again, Food Truck Tuesdays. In some communities, it's about the artists or other people who impact the neighborhood. It's ended up, food trucks have had a huge economic impact on Larkinville. You could say Larkinville West over at 500 Seneca, 550 Seneca, the A&P warehouse building that's happening. So much can be credited to all the people who started coming down to the neighborhood because of this food truck event. We're really proud of some of our urban design aesthetics. This is a parking lot, purposely not striped. And because they did a great job with the landscaping, we're able to constantly change around these spaces depending on what the event that's going on. And I took the title Director of Fun because it sends a message, I think, of how we are welcoming, we want to have fun. When Howard asked me to get involved with the business, I said, okay, we're getting hula hoops, because I loved hula hooping when I was little, and that's been a lot of what we've done. So now my son Harry, he actually came into the company the same time I did in 2012. The little Airstream was a sandwich shop, and now the Swan Lounge, that is now the hydraulic cart. So the building where Young and Right is, the Schaefer building to the right there, those were our first projects going across the street. And the significant, which I can't remember the slide order, but the streets did not look like this. The curves, things like that, things had not been improved since World War I. So this was a dynamic partnership with First Niagara Bank, moving their headquarters down to Larkinville and saying, how can we help with the neighborhood? And so all of the streets that you see, that didn't happen by magic. It happened from an incredible private investment. Very little, if any, public funds went into this whole Larkinville neighborhood. There's the hydraulic hearth. So again, that's my son Harry's restaurant. He does lots of partnering. He's the one who cooked up the Food Truck Tuesday concept. Here's the inside. Right in the back is a brewery, and he partners with Community Beer Works. It's an 1890s building. And it's been successful, I think, because he is also, it's very welcoming. It's a welcoming price point. He built this interesting beer garden where we heard earlier about the green spaces. That's what we've been trying to do a lot, different green spaces. These are 2 buildings down at the other end of what is our focus on neighborhood development, right by Smith Street. These were 2 older homes that we shored up. They were sold them as a shell. We helped 2 young families to buy them. This is another one across the street. So we're really interested in this little neighborhood now. What can we do here? So this is Buffalo Distilling Company. Came into this building from the 1890s. And they have a wonderful distillery there now. And then this is our next project where I've spent the last few days. It's opening to the public on Tuesday. Swan Street Diner. It's a 1937 Sterling manufactured diner. Howard found it in Newark, New York, which is near Rochester, when he went to buy an Airstream and went to get a cup of coffee. Tim Thielman said, hey, there's a great diner right near here. And walked in, of course, there was a for sale sign. But to show how long our projects take, that was in 2011. So we're opening October 10th, 2017. So things take a long time, but it's worth the wait. And this just, I love this slide because it shows we're an all-season neighborhood. And this is, I do all our art, we wear lots of hats, but this is my vision of, you'll see a little hint, there's a bowling pins. I made up a few signs there. So our next project is the Old Neighborhood Bowling Alley. Once we get this diner going, we'll probably start that in January, and I'm guessing it takes us about 2 years to bring something to the grand opening. So thank you for having me.